For the first time tonight, the chairman of the Oswego County Legislature answers our questions about the death of Jordan Brooks and the failures of government agencies that may have contributed to it. Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. There were multiple warnings from aides, teachers, and others. The state report detailing Oswego Child Protective Services failures to protect Jordan painted a grim picture of the teen's final months. It says Jordan weighed just 55 pounds when he died, down from 114 7 months before. He also had sores covering his back, some so severe his tailbone was exposed through his skin. His mother, Lisa Waldron, stepfather, Anthony Waldron, are facing charges of criminally negligent homicide, manslaughter, and endangering the welfare of an incompetent or physically disabled person. We were at the Oswego County Legislature this afternoon, still there tonight, demanding answers as to how this all was allowed to happen and what steps are being taken now to prevent similar cases of abuse. Our Megan Kellman spoke with lawmakers about social services inaction in Jordan's case, and Connor White is looking into a letter from a former social worker warning that kids in the county would not be safe unless major changes are made in the Department of Social Services. Our team coverage begins tonight with Megan. She's live in the city of Oswego with what the chairman had to say. Megan?
Well, Matt, Oswego County lawmakers meeting here inside the Legislative Office building. That is the latest live here in Oswego tonight. Matt, back to you.
And Megan, a lot of those adults within that system tonight are very upset about what took place in the death of Jordan Brooks. Thanks. We'll check back in just a little while. Now, here's a time measurement we want to stress to you tonight. 1 month. That's the amount of time that went by between Oswego County Social Services' last face-to-face interaction with Jordan and then the day he died. 1 month's time. And according to the state's child fatality report, April 9th, 2021, they said, quote, no concerns regarding his health or appearance were documented. But what we know from Sheriff's Office investigators, it doesn't match with that statement. Just 30 days later, that 17-year-old boy weighed 55 pounds. His back was completely red from sores. His tailbone and a hip implant that he had were exposed from his injuries. His wheelchair, it reeked of urine. It was covered in mold. The open question remains, what could have possibly changed so much in that 1 month that none of that was noticeable to CPS investigators? A letter obtained by NBC3 shows some longtime employees are fed up with conditions at Oswego's Department of Social Services. A senior caseworker with a supervising position in the unit that handles cases involving children with physical disabilities resigned in January, telling investigators why and what they need to do to stop others from following her. Our Connor White has details on that letter. He joins us live in Oswego tonight, too. Connor?
Matt, I'm Connor White.
Chairman Weatherup did allude to that, Connor, in his interview with Megan, saying there's in the range of 10 vacancies, roughly 75 filled, 85 budgeted positions in that range. Thank you for that interview and that information. What a warning that letter served. Now, Social Services says no one caseworker interviewed expressed concern that Jordan was in imminent danger. He and his sibling were interviewed in private multiple times and expressed love for their parent. The commissioner did admit caseworkers believed Jordan's mother when she said the pandemic was the barrier to rescheduling a swallowing test, which he needed because of his cerebral palsy. There was also no follow-through through which securing a new wheelchair, which was found urine-stained and rusty with a moldy seat. In a statement sent out this afternoon, the Oswego County Social Services Commissioner, Stacey Albert, said this: the department takes full responsibility for not verifying and assuring medical needs were being met. We relied on Mrs. Waldron's statements and trusted that she would seek the appropriate treatment for her son if his condition worsened. Commissioner Alvord avoided the cameras today. Now, a public candlelight vigil honoring Jordan is being held on Mexico High School's front lawn this Saturday evening, right around sunset at 7:30. Our team coverage continues at 6 tonight. More to come here. A budget cut could be coming for social services statewide that's already failing to keep kids safe. How the state government's proposal may make a bad situation even worse for the children in need.
Happening now at 5, the weather will stay calm tonight, but a big storm is on the way. How people are preparing for the snow. Pete?
Yeah, in fact, we have winter storm warnings in effect. We're going to break down when the worst happens, give you, of course, snow totals so you can plan ahead. It's coming up next.
Just one day to go until the Olympics get underway in Beijing. The athletes you should be watching for as our Olympic coverage gets underway.
You're watching NBC3 News at 5.
A wide-reaching snowstorm that is stretching across the country, making its way to central New York. Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan Kellman. Matt is off tonight. We got to enjoy some uneventful and milder weather today with temperatures reaching over 40 degrees. This is a look. You can see the squirrels out there enjoying Upper Onondaga Park this morning. People out and about taking a walk. The calm before the stretch of harsh winter weather ahead. This is a weather system we're talking about making its way to central New York. You can see already dumping snow from parts of Texas and New Mexico to Chicago, creating dangerous road conditions in many places and impacting flights across the country. We have live team coverage on the snowstorm for you tonight. Peter Hall with the latest on how much will pile up. Tony Black is live in Syracuse asking Onondaga County leaders what's being done to prepare the roads. And Maggie DeRosiers is talking to highway officials about the difficulties dealing with long periods of snow like we're expecting. We begin our team coverage tonight with our meteorologist Peter Hall. He has this weather authority alert. Pete, what do we need to know?
Well, we've been
The woman accused of murdering a 93-year-old in the Skyline Apartments in Syracuse has pleaded guilty. Good evening. I'm Matt Mulcahy.
And I'm Megan Kellman. Nearly 11 months after Connie Torrey was murdered, her killer admits to the brutal crime.
The allegation here is that you intentionally caused the death of Concetta Torrey by asphyxiation due to suffocation. Is that true?
Yes. 23-year-old Victoria Affett in court today pleading guilty, not just to Torrey's murder, but also 2 other crimes. She now faces nearly 30 years to life in prison. In late February of last year, Affett followed Torrey into her Skyline apartment in Syracuse, then tortured and murdered the 93-year-old before robbing her. It was 3 weeks before police officers found Torrey's body.
We have team coverage tonight. Vanessa Rizzitano was in the courtroom as Affett pled guilty. She's breaking down what comes next in that case.
And Connor White is live at Skyline looking into the future of this troubled property after repeated health and safety violations. But we begin our team coverage tonight with Vanessa Rizzitano in the control room with late details from court.
In the control room, I'm Vanessa Rizzitano.
Now, the city of Syracuse has declared on multiple occasions that the Skyline apartment building is unfit for human occupancy. Even a year after Torrey's murder, the building has remained a problem property. In the wake of her murder, our investigations revealed hundreds of code violations, a lack of security, human feces used needles, garbage littered the hallways, and police are still regularly called to the property, despite hiring a new security team. A woman was shot inside the apartment complex just a few days ago. And tenants tell us the blood from the incident wasn't cleaned up for 19 hours. Some now demanding new ownership take over. Our Connor White's live outside Skyline tonight. And Connor, what do we know about the future of the building?
Well, Matt, it was 9 months ago that tenants rallied here.
Closing arguments have ended in the Robert Newlander trial. In the morning, the jury begins deliberations. Good evening. I'm Matt Mulcahy.
And I'm Megan Kellman. The defense took over 3 hours to make its final arguments as to why Robert Newlander is innocent before the prosecution made the case against the former doctor. Robert Newlander arrived in court with his defense team and son Ari early this morning. His daughter Jenna was not with him today, although the defense did play her chilling 911 call. Now, all that is left for the jury to decide is if Newlander is guilty of killing his wife, Leslie. Deliberations will begin tomorrow.
Leslie was a beloved mother and member of the community known for her positive attitude and philanthropy. According to the defense, her vertigo may have caused her to slip and fall in the shower, but the prosecution maintains she was beaten to death by her husband, Robert.
In his first trial, Robert was found guilty, but juror misconduct forced the second trial. Now, once again, the jury will be deciding his fate. Through this second trial, the prosecution has introduced new evidence, including what they say is a fragment of Leslie Newlander's head, while the defense called their own experts to explain why Leslie's injuries could have been from a fall and why blood was found throughout the Newlander bedroom.
We have team coverage tonight on today's closing arguments. Our Mary Keeler is breaking down what was said during the statements from the defense and the prosecution.
Connor White lets us know what comes next for the jury. We begin our coverage, though, with Mary Keeler tonight and those closing arguments today. She's live at the old Onondaga County Courthouse. Mary?
We begin tonight with breaking news. New details on this week's deadly shooting involving an Onondaga County Sheriff's Department civil deputy. The only surviving victim, Karen Eames, is now in serious but stable condition and was able to talk with investigators trying to explain what happened. Good evening. I'm Matt Mulcahy.
And I'm Megan Coleman. Investigators say Karen Eames told them it was her husband, Civil Deputy Isaac Eames, who shot her in their Brewerton home. Early Monday, state police found Isaac Eames, his 21-year-old son Troy, and his wife Karen all shot in their home. Isaac was declared dead at the scene. Troy would later die from his injuries. Tonight we are learning Deputy Eames's service weapon was the gun used in the shooting. Our Laura Lagarde is in studio now with new details. Alora?
Megan and Matt, every detail we learn in this investigation is more troubling than the last. Investigators now giving us an idea of what happened in the Brewerton home Monday morning, but still, the question is why. We're told investigators were able to speak with Karen Eames, the only survivor of the shooting on Riverview Road. She is now in serious but stable condition at the hospital. They say she confirmed it was her husband, Isaac Eames, a civil deputy with the sheriff's office, who shot her in the face and the arm. And investigators confirmed he used his service weapon. Karen Eames made the 911 call, and officers kicked down the door of her home Monday and found a horrifying scene. They say Isaac Eames appears to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot to the head. 21-year-old Troy was also shot in the head. He died at the hospital. Members of the Liverpool community, where Karen was a school secretary and Troy was a graduate, have contributed to the GoFundMe for her, trying to offer whatever support they can.
I think there's a lot of support and a lot of, prayers for her and her family. And we really are, I guess, making the point that, Liverpool is a great community.
A Liverpool church will be holding a vigil at 7 tomorrow night for the Eames family. In studio, I'm Laura Lagarde.
Laura, thank you. And coming up, we will hear from a priest who led that prayer vigil for the Eames family, who will lead that prayer vigil for the Eames family tomorrow. We will ask him how a community recovers from such a tragic incident.
Well, also breaking right now, a school shooting in the Buffalo area. This is the scene at McKinley High School. Police told the NBC affiliate 2 people were shot, including 1 student. Happened on school property outside the school building. You can see all the police cars there, a school bus in this picture. A security guard was shot in the leg. He is expected to be okay. A student was also shot. A major step back towards pre-pandemic life for New York State. New York's mask mandate is coming to an end.
Starting tomorrow, businesses will not have to require masks or proof of vaccination.
I'm still going to see a lot of people wearing masks because they will feel safer. That is something that they are very, very welcome and encouraged to do. But in terms of having a requirement, it is being lifted as of tomorrow.
Masks will still be required on public transit and in homeless shelters, state-regulated healthcare facilities, and jails. The mask mandate will also remain in place in schools and daycares for now. With the state regulations gone, local governments do have the option to issue their own mandates, and businesses can still require their customers to wear a mask.
The governor says the state's progress in controlling the virus made relaxing policies possible. Since early January, when we were really at the height of the Omicron wave, hospital bed capacity has improved from under 10% to over 20%. New cases have dropped 93%. We have team coverage on the end of the masking mandate in New York tonight. Our Amanda Hall is talking with local businesses about how the end of the mandate will impact them. And Tony Black is looking into when kids may be taking off masks in the classroom. The answer in the short term is not yet.
Then at 5:30, Connor White asks Onondaga County leaders what is next for masking locally. And Maggie DeRosiers looks into the legality of businesses still requiring a mask even without a government mandate. Our team coverage begins tonight with Amanda Hall. She's live in downtown Syracuse. Amanda?
Yeah, Matt and Megan, it will now be up to each individual business to decide whether or not they will require people to wear a mask when they walk through the doors. Scholars and Champ is a vintage clothing store in downtown Syracuse who will no longer require masks inside now that the mandate is lifted.
The state feels like we don't need it, then I feel the same way. So we're going to, go forward with that.
A small business that, like many others in our community, has felt the impacts of COVID-19 for 2 years now.
January was a really tough month around here. We had a great December and people were out and about, shopping for holiday, but January was awful, partially because of the increase in the surge of COVID.
The owner says he's excited for this next phase. Other larger businesses like Wegman saying they will no longer require masks in their stores as well.
I'm hoping that it makes people feel more comfortable and feel like that this is subsiding and we can actually go out again. You see it across the country. A lot of different states and entities are now reducing the mask mandate. So, I think it'll be good. Obviously there will be an exception to the rule and some people might feel uncomfortable and unsafe, but for the most part, I think most people are ready for this to be over.
But a different story right down the street. The Landmark Theater says they will keep their COVID-19 protocols, including the mask requirement, in place until March 31st. Same thing goes for Syracuse University events. As it stands now, masks will still be required while the university reviews the data. And Onondaga County tells CNY Central that each business will also have to come up with a plan to enforce it should they choose to require masks in their store. Onondaga County will not help with enforcement. Reporting live in downtown Syracuse, I'm Amanda Hall.
Will now be left up to individual people, Amanda, to decide whether or not they want to put on a mask when they go inside a store. Thanks for your reporting.
Let's get a quick check on our forecast right now. Here's meteorologist Peter Hall. Peter?
We got to 50 degrees for the first time this year. Yeah, yeah, that's bad. Come on, let's get some enthusiasm. That's right.
People are applauding at home, I'm sure.
Well, I can understand why. It's been tough since we flipped the calendar because other than January 1st, which was 49, it has been very cold. We're still rather mild right now. Maybe go for a walk as the sun is going down, although there is a line of weak sprinkles and showers. You see them approaching Oswego, Cato, Meridian, Auburn. It's over Geneva and Wolcott and Clyde. Yes, a possibility of a few minor drops of rain coming through. Further west, there's a spinning system back in here. This will give us an opportunity for more cloud cover and some passing rain and wet snow showers, but it's a fairly weak system for most of our area in the short term. We're still in the 40s this evening after the sun goes down and never lower than the 30s overnight. And I think we should be able to go into the lower 40s tomorrow despite only limited intervals of sunshine. Stanley Law Skywatch. It is a little breezy, but you can see the sun going down on what was our first 50 of the year. Coming up next, I've got some new information about a new system that you need to pay attention to. I'll explain coming up.
Well, thank you, Peter. Coming up, our team coverage on masks continues. New at 5, will your kid be able to take off their masks soon? The latest on when we could see an end to the classroom mask mandate.
Then at 5:30, officers keep leaving the Syracuse Police Department. Tonight, we asked the police chief what can be done to stop this.